You're going to see the top 10 tips to secure your Power Platform environment. And I'm Vinoda. I'm working as Solution Architect in GD Technologies Private Limited. I'm a regular speaker and blogger in various topics of Microsoft 365 and our company providing reporting and management tools in Office 365. And we are specialized in Yammer migration, Stream migration, and OneDrive migration. The agenda in this session is we are going to see the security controls in Power Platform and monitoring and auditing in Power Platform. Normally, more number of users are using Power Platform environment in their organizations, and so governance and security is an important concern. And today we are going to see how to secure your Power Platform and how to monitor and manage your Power Platform in an efficient way. Here you have faced some challenges such as security risk and data leakage in your organization. So a proper governance can avoid these risks in your organization. First, we are going to see tenant level security using conditional access policy in Azure Active Directory. To restrict access to Power Platform, you can use conditional access policy in Azure Active Directory. Conditional access policy help the administrators to control access to Microsoft-based services to end users. Currently, you have no way to control who can create, who can create Power Apps or who can create Power Automate workflows. That is, when a user is assigned a license, he is automatically added to environment maker role in default environment. So they can customize and share the apps and flows. So to restrict these access at tenant level, you can use conditional access policy. You can grant block access based upon users, groups, device, location, etc. Let's see how to create conditional access policy at tenant level. Now I'm in Azure Active Directory and go to Enterprise Applications. And here under Security, you have conditional access. Here I have already created one policy. Let's see this in detail. What I'm going to do in this policy is I'm going to block a particular user if she is trying to access Microsoft Flow from unmanaged device. Here in the users and groups section, I have included a user Jamie Redding, and in the Cloud App section, I have included Microsoft Flow. And in the access control, I have grant access, and after that I have checked the required device to be marked as compliant. If she is trying to access from unmanaged device, then this conditional the access policy gets activated and it restricts the user to access Microsoft Flow. And I have turned on the policy and saved the policy. Once you save, the policy gets activated immediately. Let's check how this policy works in user side. Here I'm in another window and this is the unmanaged device. I have logged in as Jamie Redding. When she is trying to access Power Automate, yes, the policy gets activated and it restricts the user to access Microsoft Flow from this unmanaged device. So this way you can restrict access at tenant level using conditional access policy and consider other scenarios such as if your organization wants to provide internal apps only from your office premises, then using conditional access policy, you can restrict the access to Power Apps by restricting the user IP address. And next, we are going to see environment level security in Power Platform. I think you know about the basic things about environment. Environment is nothing but a container that helps you to manage and share and store your organizational data, apps, and flows. You can create a single environment to build all your apps, or you can create a separate environment for your test and production versions of your applications. And environment are bounded by geographic location, and each resources in the environment can only be accessed by the tenant users. And in two ways you can create environment. You can create environment without Dataverse, that is CDS, or you can create environment with CDS. When you are creating environment without database, then you have two built-in roles. One is environment admin role and the other is environment maker role. The environment admin role performs all administrative actions in that environment, and maker role can create and share the apps and flows in that environment, but have limited privileges when compared to environment admin role. Let's see this in action. I'm in Power Platform Admin Center and I have three different environments. I have default environment and trial and production environment. In this trial environment, I have no database. So we have two built-in roles, environment admin and environment maker role. If it is a default environment, all the licensed users are automatically added as environment maker role users. Here it is a trial environment. If you want to add any people in that role, just click the role and add people in it. Here other settings are, you can control the creation and management of environment to admins by using these Power Platform settings. Here you can restrict the creation and management of production and sandbox environment to all the admins or to specific admins. Here you can and also you can restrict the creation and management of trial environments to all the admins or specific admins. The specific admins in this sense, it includes a global administrator, Power Platform administrator, and a Dynamic 365 administrator. If your organization has any dedicated admin, they are also included in this specific admin. And remember that these settings are applicable only for your new environment creation and management, and it is not applicable for already created environment. And next we are going to see environment with CDS. You can create environment by creating, that is when you are creating new environment, you can enable database or you can add database to an existing environment. When you are adding database to an existing environment, you have a set of security roles here. That is the environment admin role is replaced with the system administrator role, and environment maker role remains the same. But if a maker role user wants to access this Dataverse environment, then they need another security role called system customizer role. With the help of system customizer role, this maker role users can access Dataverse environment. Here in the production environment, I have a database. Here you can see, instead of seeing the environment admin and environment maker role, you can see the security roles here. To create the custom security role is just click the new role option. Yes, it redirects you to this page. Here you can mention the role name, custom security role name, and here you can define how the user interacts with the data. Normally Dataverse supports 8 record level privileges such as create, read, write, append, etc. And also you have task level privileges, that is user, business, and organization. So after defining all these permissions, you can save the role. Once you save this role, these custom security roles also listed under security roles. And next we are going to see is you can consider if you want to restrict this environment access to a specific set of users, then you can assign security group to an environment. The main thing is you can assign security group to an environment, that is you can assign security group to production and sandbox environment. You cannot assign security group to a environment without Dataverse. Let's see how to assign security group to an environment. Just edit the environment. In the bottom section, you have security group option. Here I have already added one security group to this environment. So only those security group members can access this environment. Here just edit it. It lists all the security groups and all the Office 365 groups in your organization. Here you can select the group and save the changes. Once you assign security group in the environment, only those users can access the environment. And next we are going to see administration mode. When you turn on this administration mode, only the system customizer role users and system administrator role users can sign into that environment. In what way this administration mode helpful is, if you turn on this administration mode, only those system customizer and system administrator role users can access this environment. Consider if you want to make any operational changes, or if you want to prefer not to be disturbed by any other users, then at that time you can turn on this administration mode. After you have done with operational changes, you can turn off this administration mode so that other security role users such as maker role users can access this environment. And these are all the security roles. That is, you have other than system administrator and maker role, you have system customizer role and common data service basic user role. As administrator, you have to know all the security roles in that environment so that you can easily assign those security roles to a user based on their job function. And next we are going to see resource level security in Power Platform. Resources is nothing but your apps, flows, and Power BI. And each resources have a set of resource permissions and set of roles. And for example, in Power Apps, you have owner, co-owner, and user role, and each role has a certain privileges. And in Power BI also, you have different roles. So based on the job function, you can assign those resource level permissions to the users. And next we are going to see cross-tenant isolation. This is one of the security control in Power Platform. You can control the cross-tenant inbound and outbound connections using this cross-tenant isolation for your apps and flows. Before getting into the demo, let's see what is cross-tenant isolation. Consider you have two organizations. One is Contoso and the other is Fabricam. And in default, the Contoso users can establish connection using the Fabricam credentials, and also the Fabricam users can establish connection using the Contoso credentials. So both the inbound and outbound connections are allowed by default configuration. That is, consider if your organization users are creating apps and flows and sending organizational data to external tenant. So these scenarios are avoided using cross-tenant restriction. So when you turn on cross-tenant isolation in your tenant, then it completely blocks both the inbound and outbound connections from your tenant. Let's see a demo on cross-tenant isolation. Yes, this is a tenant isolation feature in a Power Platform Admin Center. This feature is not available now. You can get it by raising support ticket. When you turn on this tenant isolation, it completely blocks external tenants from establishing connections into your tenant, and also it blocks the other tenants establishing connections, and also your tenant establishing connections to external tenants. So both the inbound and outbound connections are completely blocked. But you can create allowed list of tenants here. Here I have allowed one tenant in both ways, that is inbound and outbound directions. By creating new tenant rule, you can add tenant in this allowed list. Here you have to select whether inbound from your tenant or outbound from any other tenant or inbound and outbound directions. You have to select the direction and mention the tenant ID or domain. Once you've given these details, you have to save the details. And the tenant ID is added in the allowed list. Let's check how this tenant isolation works. Here I have a flow. What I'm going to do in this flow is whenever an item is added in my SharePoint list, I'm going to send that data to one external tenant. And this tenant is already allowed in my tenant isolation list. So there is no problem in sending these data to this tenant. When I'm trying to establish a new connection to a tenant, which is not allowed in my tenant list. Yes, you can see here, it is failed due to tenant isolation configuration in this tenant. So this way you can avoid this data leakage using this tenant isolation feature. That is, you can provide the cross-tenant inbound and outbound restriction using this feature. And next we are going to see email exfiltration blocking for your Office 365 mail connector. And normally we are using Power Automate to auto forward or send mails. So such auto forwarding or sending mails outside the organization using Power Platform, that is using Power Automate, is not restricted now. So using this email exfiltration blocking, you can block such auto forward or send mails outside the organization using Microsoft Flows. Let's see how to create email exfiltration in the Exchange Admin Center and how it works. Here now I'm in Exchange Admin Center, and under Mail Flow section, you have rules. I have already created a rule to block such auto forward or send mails outside the organization through flows. Let's see this in detail. Here, name the rule. And here what the message header includes Microsoft Power Automate. The message header is XMS mail application if it includes Microsoft Power Automate. This Microsoft Power Automate is recently added by Microsoft to this header to all the emails triggered using Microsoft Flows. And next I'm going to check another condition. If the message header matches, that is the header is XMS mail operation type matches forward or send. If all the above three conditions are satisfied, then I'm going to block the message. Here I have enforce the policy, enforce the rule and save the rule. Let's check in Microsoft Flow how this email exfiltration blocking works. Here, here I'm in Microsoft Flow, whenever item is added in a SharePoint list, I'm going to send that data to my Gmail account. When I'm going to test this flow, Yes, the flow runs successfully, but in my Gmail, I could not receive any mail, and also the flow owner receives mail that yes, your message to this Gmail account could not be delivered because a custom mail flow rule created by your admin has blocked your message. So this way, using email exfiltration blocking, you can avoid the data leakage in your organization. And next security control we are going to see is connector blocking support using DLP policy. Using Power Platforms, your organization can connect to multiple data sources and services, that is external or third-party sources, and even the social networks. So this exposure may lead to sometimes data leakage. So using DLP policy in Power Platform, you can prevent your users from unintentionally exposing organizational data. And you can create DLP policy in the Power Platform Admin Center itself. And you can create policy at tenant level and environment level. If you are a global administrator or Power Platform admin, you can create DLP policy at tenant level. Or if you are an environment admin for an environment, you can create in that environment DLP policies. And the main thing is, while creating DLP policy, you can classify connectors in 3 different groups. If your connector is business oriented, then you can group that connectors in business data groups. Or if your connectors are personal use, then you can keep it in non-business data group. Or if you want to block any connector from your environment while users are creating apps and flows, then you can block that connectors in blocked data groups. And the main thing is, you cannot block all the connectors. Standard connectors such as approval, all the connectors are not blockable, and you cannot block common data service connector. Let's see a demo on data loss prevention policy in Power Platform. Yes, I'm in Power Platform Admin Center. You have seen that a data policy section is there. Here only we can create a data loss prevention policy. I have already created on policy, and I have applied this policy to my production environment. Let's see, I'm going to edit this policy. Here, name your policy. In next step, I have already told that you can classify the connectors in 3 different data groups. You have business, non-business, and block data group. And normally, all the connectors are listed under a default. All the connectors are listed in a non-business data group. If you want to change this default group set, then you can select this set default group. Here, a default non-business is selected here. If you want to change it to business or block, you can change here. If you want to move any connector from non-business to either business or block, just click the connector, and you have 2 options. You can either move it to business data group, or you can move it to block data group. In this policy, I have already have SharePoint connector and Outlook connector in business data group, and other connectors such as social network connectors, Twitter, and all in non-business data group. And I have blocked Gmail connector in this policy. And let's move on to the next step. And the main thing is, you cannot share data among the connectors which is located in different data groups. For example, I have SharePoint connector, where when a user is creating a flow using SharePoint connector, and when a user is trying to add a Twitter connector which is in non-business data group, then this policy restricts that creation. In next step, we are going to choose the environment to apply this policy. You can add all the environments, or you can select multiple environments, or you can exclude some environments. Here in this policy, I have added my production environment to this policy and create this policy. Let's see what happens in Microsoft Flow. Here I have applied this TLB policy to my production environment. So I have selected here I'm in production environment. In this flow, whenever a list item is added, I'm going to mail this data to this this is in my tenant user only. Here I have included SharePoint connector and Outlook connector. So there is no issues in it because these two connectors are in same data group. When I'm trying to add another connector, I'm going to add Twitter connector, which is located in non-business data group. Yes, when I have added this Twitter connector, I received a error that this operation violates your data loss prevention policy, which restricts the use of business connector with non-business connector. So this way you can restrict those access. That is, you can control the connector usage in the flow. Now I'm going to add the Gmail connector, which is blocked in my production environment. Yes, you received an error that this operation violates the data loss prevention policy, which restricts the use of Gmail. Yes, the Gmail connector is blocked in this environment, so you cannot use this Gmail connector. So this way you can avoid the data leakage using this DLP policy. Next, we are going to see how this multiple DLP policy impact the environment. Consider if multiple DLP policies are associated with the same environment, then the most restrictive rules takes precedence over the other. In two ways, you can compute the multiple DLP policy impact on environment. Consider the one way is consider about blocked connector. If a connector is marked as blocked in any one of your DLP policy and it is applied to environment, then you cannot use those blocked connector in your environment entirely. When you come to business and non-business connector, it's very tricky to compute this, but I will explain you with the example. Here I have two DLP policy X and policy Y. And in policy X, in business data group, I have 1, 2, 3 connectors. In non-business, I have 4 and 5 connector. And in policy Y, in business, I have 3, 4, 5 connector. In non-business, I have 1 and 2 connector. Let's see how to compute this net outcome. You have to know that, you have to remember that the most restrictive rules takes precedence. Here, the connector 1 and 2 are used to be together in both the policies. So the connector 1 and 2 forms a separate group set. And consider the connector 4 and 5. The connector 4 and 5 also used to be together in both the policies. So the connectors 4 and 5 form a separate group set. Then what about the connector 3? Here in the policy X, the connector 3 cannot be used to be that is cannot be come together with 4 and 5. And in policy Y, the connector 3 cannot be come together with 1 and 2. So the connector 3 cannot be used together with 1, 2, 4, 5. So the connector 3 is in separate group set. So this way you can compute the net outcome when multiple DLP policies are associated with the same environment. And next we are going to see how to troubleshoot the common user access issues in Power Platform environment. Normally as an administrator, you might face common user access issues such as a user is the user has no security role, or if a user has not a member of environment security group, or if a user has no valid license. So these common user access issues are overcome by Run Diagnostics feature in Power Platform Admin Center. Let's see the Run Diagnostics feature. select, I'm in a production environment and select settings. And under users and permission section, select users. Consider if a user tells you that I can't access this environment, then you can just click the user and click run diagnostics. It will gives you all the details, the status of a user and all the details about that. It tells whether the status of a user is enabled or disabled or any action needed. And it also tells all the details, whether the user has a valid license and if the user is member of environment group. So based on these results, you can take corrective actions. And next we are going to see monitoring in Power Platform. You have different analytics, that is tenant level analytics, that is Dataverse, Power Automate and Power Apps analytics in Power Platform Admin Center. And you also see the storage capacity usage report in Power Platform. Here in Power Platform Admin Center, you have analytics section. Here you can view all the overall insights for Dataverse analytics. Here, this is the view for your default environment. If you want to change it to another production or trial environment, you can change here. By applying the filter, you can change the environment and see the results. You can download the report also. Here you can see the Dataverse analytics such as active users and their specific operations and their mode of access such as operating system, device type, and you can also see API calls and API pass rate and entity usage, etc. And in Power Automate Analytics, you can see the overall insights such as to all runs of these flow and the flow usage and the newly created flows and who created a flow and the created date. And it also shows errors by error types, and it also shows the shared flows in your environment, and it shows the connector usage report also. And each data here is built on Power BI. So you can export by click the ellipsis and export the data. And next you have Power Apps Analytics. Here you can see the all app usage and active users for all the apps, and the toast errors is nothing but end users errors. And under service performance, you can view all the successful response request and API response time and HTTP 500 error codes, all the details you can see here. And you can also see the both the standard and custom connector reports in the Power Apps Analytics. And in the resources section, you have capacity. And here you can see your Dataverse environment, database usage, file and log usage report. You can also see individual environment details here. And if you are exceeding these, that is storage capacity, then you receive notification in the top of the section. And in the summary tab also, you receive this red alert notification if you are exceeding the storage limit. If you are seeing this alert, you have to free up the storage space, or you have to buy that is capacity add-ons and assign those add-ons to your environment. And next we are going to see auditing in Power Platform. You know, all Microsoft services activities are logged into Security and Compliance Center, and also the Power Platform activities are also logged in Security and Compliance Center. Now, you can also audit your Dataverse environment in your that is in Security and Compliance Center. You can have 3-level configuration. You can enable audit for your environment, and you can enable auditing for your entity and field level. Let's see how to enable CDS auditing. Select settings, and here you have audit and log section, and click audit settings. And a default, the CDS auditing is not enabled. You have to enable for an environment in this audit settings page. Here, once you check this start auditing checkbox, all the common data service activities such as admin activities and user activities all are logged into the security and compliance center. And you can also enable auditing, that is you have also have entity and field level settings. When you click this, it redirects you to this page. It shows all the entities in that environment. When you want to enable auditing for your entity, just click the entity. Yes. Here you have under the data services section, you have auditing. Once you enable this auditing for this entity, all the fields in this entity are also enabled for auditing. Yes, you can also, once you enable this, all the fields are also enabled for auditing. If you can also enable field level auditing. Here you can enable or disable the field level in this page. Yes, here you can enable or disable the field level auditing. Yes, you have seen many security controls, auditing and monitoring in Power Platform. You have to follow these steps so that you can, that is your governance and security is an important concern. So after following these tips are essential for you to govern and secure your Power Platform. Thank you.